Hi, sixth graders. Welcome to science class today. I was actually out on a walk and decided to stop at our barn to do science today. So we are going to talk about how living things get their energy. And a lot of people think that living things get their energy through exercise or sunshine or water. But all living things actually get their energy from food. And I'm talking all living things. Plants, animals, insects, people, all get their energy from food. And all of those living things basically get their energy, get their food in 3 different ways. So the first one I'm going to talk about are producers. And producers are plants. And so this grass here, you've probably never thought of grass needing to get food, right? That's weird. It just grows and it gets water and it gets sun and it's in dirt. So how does grass need food, and how do those trees back there get food? And there will be corn or soybeans in this field soon, and they need food. And so the reason plants are called producers is because they produce their own food, actually, inside the plant. And they do this through a process that you may have heard of before called photosynthesis. And that is when plants take in 3 things. They take in the sun, they take in water, and they take in what we breathe out, which is carbon dioxide. And inside that plant, they take those 3 things and it makes 2 different things that it releases or takes in. One is what we need to survive, which is oxygen. Plants actually provide us with oxygen. And the other thing is the food that the plants need. And the food that they make is a special kind of sugar called glucose. So believe it or not, plants need to get their energy from food, and they do that by producing their own food. So plants are producers. It's an easy way to remember because they both start with P, right? So plants are producers. They produce their own food. And now the second way that living things get food is how almost all animals get their food. And that includes us as animals. That includes insects. And that includes these guys. So these are obviously cows, and they're very curious about what we're doing here. So these cows, just like you and me, and like your dog maybe, or your cat if you have one, ladybugs, birds, every animal gets their energy by consuming food. And so we don't call them producers, we call them consumers. So those cows are consumers. They have to consume actual food. They have to eat. And that's what they were doing before I interrupted them. That's what this one's trying to do. So when you eat your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, you are consuming that food, and you are doing that to get energy. I had avocado toast this morning, no shock to anybody, and that's how I got my energy for the day, as I consumed it, I ate it. And so all animals, for the most part, are considered consumers. So we have plants that are producers, and we have animals, including people, that are consumers. The third kind, there aren't as many that fall into this category, but they are called decomposers. And they're the really gross, nasty ones that 6th graders seem to love the most. So what decomposers do is they get their energy through breaking down dead plants and animals that just occur naturally in nature. So right now, if you look in your yard or your flower beds, you may see some dead leaves, some dead plants maybe left over from last year. You may see some, unfortunately along the road sometimes we see dead animals, right? Roadkill. You may see a dead raccoon, or like I just did on my walk, a dead possum. And what happens is those animals are going to decompose. Those dead leaves and plants, they're going to decompose. And the way they're going to do that is these decomposers are going to break down the dead plants and animals and return the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals that were in that plant or animal back into the soil. And I know that may sound a little nasty, but it's how we are able to grow anything, to grow plants, to grow flowers, to grow food. If you have a farm or know someone who has a farm, it's how we're able to grow crops in these fields. It's the reason that some of your families may spread manure in those fields, because decomposers are going to break down that manure and put those nutrients back into the soil, and it allows us to grow really great crops. So I am actually going to find you a decomposer. I hope I have better luck than I did trying to find my bird nest last week. Decomposers, there are just a few. So dung beetles, have you ever heard of those? They are these creepy beetles. You should Google them to find a video. They're these beetles that roll dung, which if you didn't know is manure or poop, and they roll it into balls and take it away with them, and they break down that pile of dung, and that's how they get their energy. Earthworms are a really common decomposer, and I have a feeling if I move this board, I may find an earthworm. I'm finding lots of creepy crawlies. Didn't find an earthworm in that one, but I'm gonna keep looking. I won't take too much longer on this lesson because I know you're excited now to learn more about producers, consumers, and decomposers, and you're gonna get to do that in the Tuesday folder for your science activities. I'm gonna check a couple more spots to try to find an earthworm. Here, we'll say goodbye to the consumers, our cows today, and let them get back to consuming their energy. Let's head back. I don't know if you can hear my footsteps, but it's so squishy in this mud because we've had so much rain. Let's see if we can find an earthworm. Let's move this container and see what we can find under this one. Should have brought a shovel so I could dig for earthworms. Is this the best science lesson you've ever had? Hearing me dig into the dirt for a worm? Oh, there's the consumers. They're wondering what I'm doing over here. What I'm doing is not finding an earthworm. Okay, here's your challenge activity. Find an earthworm. It's an example of a decomposer. Send me a snapshot. Oh, my daughter makes fun of me when I say the word snapshot. Apparently that's an old-fashioned term. Send me a pic of an earthworm if you can find it. So recap, producers are plants because they produce their own food. Consumers, like you and me and these cows and every other animal you can think of, are called consumers because we have to consume food in order to get energy. And the third kind are decomposers, and they are things like bacteria, fungus, nasty, earthworms, and dung beetles. Those are decomposers because they break down dead plants and animals in order to get their energy. So I hope you enjoyed today's science lesson. Check out those activities in the science page today and show me a picture of that earthworm. Talk to you soon. Bye.